Okay. Rabbanan, Shami Oimrim. Where are we up to? Neutlin. Yeah? No, is that right? What's that? I explained yesterday.
Shami Oimrim.
No, we did Moiskin as a curse. That we did. No? Yeah? Yeah, explain that. Mekanech Yoda B'mapa. Yeah? Okay, so this is also Tumun Tyra. It's not a big deal, just listen, this is... Okay, listen. It used to be a person who dries hands with what's called a mappa, which is their version of our modern day towel. But you can imagine their mappa was not quite as absorbent as our modern towel. So therefore, the problem is, he washes hands and the hands are tummy. So now the tummy water is in the towel, or is in the whatever napkin. So now what do you do with this? So he says you should put it on the table. But don't put it on the kesses. Kesses is like really, it's kind of a pillow. But it means like the pillow that you're if you're on the floor with the pillow, or if you're on a couch or whatever it is don't put it on your seat. Why? Maybe the kesses has tumor, so a couple tumor. So Yachsu Tamas Yudayim, and then it'll mean mitama the water, and then you wipe your hands again during the meal. Because remember, they're using the napkin during the meal, wipe their hands. They're using people are getting their hands dirty while they're eating. That's normal. And Nitme Bekir says Lamapa, and sorry, and that's all. Remember, the whole point of Chazal is we don't want a person eating with tamei hands. That's what we're trying to avoid. That we're against. That's the point of Netzilos Yadayim. We have to be rugged to eat with tyra, truma, chulu. Okay, so that's shitas. So therefore, again, that's shitas b'shamai. We're going to see if Yisrael disagrees with this. We'll see why in a minute. Okay, we're just going to go through a little bit more shakutaya in the reasoning of b'shamai. So you asked the reason. So we're going to analyze a little bit the reason. The reason is we're afraid you're going to take this towel, this mappa, and you're going to put it on the chair. So he wants to. Well, if that's the case, dit mikeses lemappa. So why is that solving the problem? You're saying, sorry. So, right, we're supposed to put it on the table. On the table, because when the kesses, we're afraid of the mashkin are going to get tummy. Well, if you're worried about the map, the kesses being tummy, that's obviously the main concern, that the seat itself is tummy, the pillow is tummy. So why is that itself not mitama the mappa? So the answer is, again, important rule, ein kli mitama kli. Kelim are not mitama kelim. The Torah, when it talks about getting kli, it's a sheretz goes in a kli. The food is tamei, and the food is mitama kli, but a kli is not mitama kli. This is kli. Any item which is called a kli, whatever has a use, has an identity, it could be a kli, and therefore, even though they're kelim here, the kelim are not mitama kelim. So that's why we had to come up with the problem with the water. The time it catches the gavra. Well, what about if you're sitting on it? So that itself should be mitam you, mitam gufa, and kli mitam adam. It's not true. Also, kli is not mitam people. The person mitam by mace or whatever, but not by king. Okay. That is she's b'shamim. Basil says I'm not kesses shimato oim and the shulchan gezerah. He says the opposite. Don't put on the shulchan. Shemi tamim mashkin mapa machos shulchan. V'yachsu v'tamas oichan. I'm afraid that this tummy water sitting on your table, you're going to take your challah and you're going to put on top of the mappa with the water, and now the challah is tummy, and that's the whole thing we're afraid of. We don't want We don't want the food to become tummy. You're going to eat tummy. You're going to make, if it'll be truma, it's like a gzeira. If the food will be truma, we won't want it to become tummy, so we have to be careful with the food. So Basil says, don't put it on the table. That's the last thing I want to see you do. So what about? Once again, let's explain. Some cases. Right. This one. Okay. Yeah. And Basil is worried. Sorry, Basil is worried that I'm sorry, because the water itself is not tummy. I don't know. Bishami, the problem was the kestis is tummy. It'll be tummy the mashkin should remember. The water once is not tummy. I'm sorry. Just one here. It's not tummy. But the problem is that the shulchan is tummy. The shulchan, there's too much. There's a sheretz on the shulchan made tummy. And now the shulchan is being mitami the kessis. You're mitami the mapas. So Bisham says, don't put it on the shulchan, put it on the kessis. You're talking about the shulchan. There should be mitami mashkin. Mapas shulchan. Yes, mitami tzorichin. In fact, the Gemara. Okay, again, this is a side question in the process. So why that way? Mitami shulchan the oichlin. So let the table itself. The concern is the table's tameh. So let's be concerned that the table itself would be mitama the oichlin. It's not. It's a sheni. I explained yesterday, right? There's rishon and sheni. The first thing which comes tameh is rishon, but then afterwards is sheni. And in the Torah, there's no. But the Chazal or Kaveya that there is a concept. The more kaddish the food is, the more the tumah extends. That's why, let's say, truma can become even shlishi. Okay, now we explain. So we have machlekes. Beishamai is worried about the table. I'm sorry. Beishamai is worried about the keses, the pillow, and what you're sitting on. And Beis Hillel is worried about the table. What's the machlekes? Beishami says, what, you're worried that the table is coming, it's going to time it, so you say, no, I say put on the table. You guys are worried about the table? I say, no, nobody is going to ever use a tummy table. That's ridiculous. Who would do such a thing? Right? Truma. Because chas v'sholem, a person will be eating truma, and he'll use a tummy table, everything will get ruined. So we have to be very careful with the tables that we use. There's no problem with you don't have to go buy a special bedatz table that has a hechsher. You can buy a regular table. You say, what if it's tameh? So he says, if it's not for regular people, it doesn't matter. Oichli truma is reason him. If you're going to invite your friend over the kohen, we have a kohen here. No. Anyways, if we're going to invite the kohen over, he's going to bring his old food. He's going to put it on a special, plastic and whatever. I don't know. It's got plastic, whatever it is. He's going to have his own little table. He's not going to mess around with your table. The guy who has truma knows how to be careful. Okay. Okay. Now Beis Hillel gives a different reason why he says you should put it on the table. He says you should know that the whole musig of keeping your hands clean until Yidayim is not min Torah. So we'll see why that is relevant in a second. Right? It's a din d'Rabbanan. That we wash our hands when we eat. It's not a din d'Oraisa, it's a din d'Rabbanan. Okay. So what? My Daracha. What does he say? This is a little bit silly. So what are you afraid? Why should it be a dying? Look, I like what you're going to ask a kasha me. Why is it when it comes to the food? Basil says that I'm not worried, right? What does Basil say? Basil says, Basil says you put it on the chair. So sorry, Basil says watch out for the food. Put the napkin on the table. I'm worried about the food on the table. And Gabi Adayim, but your hands being tameh for the keses, you can when you touch your hands, that's better. Why? Because think about it. The concept, the Torah never spoke about washing your hands, get your hands being tameh to eat. The Torah never says a word about that. If I'm going to choose a concern, it's not going to be in Tilas Yadayim. Rather, now it's true, it's Rabbanah in our case here. You're afraid the table is a sheni, and it's going to be tam of the mappa, and then the mappa is going to be tam of the oichel, the bread on the table. That's true. It's a different, but that is a Torah-tic concept. The Torah speaks explicitly how food becomes tameh, and you can't eat it. Again, it's not all food; it's only truma or whatever. But there is a concept of food becoming tameh in the Torah. Okay, so that's the bottom line. So if you're using your napkin at the table, I would assume you go lachak b'zillo. I think we'll see that maybe in a minute in the Gemara. And what you should do is you should not keep your napkin on the table. Put it on your chair or something. Chayr. Even though it doesn't seem to be brought la'alacha in this halacha, but maybe I don't know why it shouldn't be. We're not. Basil also wasn't did a din to keep two matar. Okay, Rabbi Shai knew. Okay, now there's one more discussion. There's one more similar discussion. Okay, then we're going to go into a different topic. But there's one more similar another discussion to Matara, and whatever. It's a little more practical. This actually is maybe halachic relevance. Okay, you finished your meal. You want to eat, now you want to do my machrayim. So now here we're assuming that what are you going to do? Now remember, there were no sinks. So you pour in a cup or something like sometimes you do my machrayim at the table, right? So you're going to get a little water and my machrayim on some of the bread. You might ruin some of the bread. So Bishami says, Rabbi side, clean up first, sweep. Get off all the bread. Take the bread, or if you're eating on a table, so take the bread off the table. Clean up, and then wash your hands. You're going to ruin the bread. Bread. You have to understand also. Bread is a very valuable thing. Bread is what they lived on. So you have to be very careful not to throw out your bread. I'm sorry. So we shall be mechavim this about Zakar this dam shivat and like the dam tchil nim sat tamam sat so oichlim. Avon the tilas you die the misham tchil lo sfirle, but you don't do the two time first. My time is shipurim because again it's a little bit maybe there's a little they take this out. But the same idea that you're gonna ruin the pieces of bread on the floor. The silo oimrim depends. Im sham shtam chacham if the Shamish, that means to say that, the waiter, the guy here, the person running the kitchen here, the Torah or whatever it is, right? Is a Talmud Chacham, Yeshiva, you make sure you have a guy who's a Talmud Chacham in charge over here, right? So, Noitu Pirurin She'esh B'em Kezayis. So he'll know the Pirurim that are Kezayis, it's also to be mafsed them, So he'll clean. You don't need to do the full sweep up job. He'll just take. In 1 minute he could just take care of the problem. So therefore, wash your hands first. Besides, Rabbi Yechon says that there is no iser of rooting tiny crumbs. So the real bottom line is, Beis Hillel says you can't use an Amoritz. You have to be using somebody. When you do I would say this is a general approach in life that whenever you're doing something, you should use somebody knowledgeable in the topic that's being done. So it doesn't mean you have to hire a big special that you have to go to, part of it you find the Bislan Lamdonim to be the waiters. That doesn't make sense, right? But you have to always have people doing things that they understand. So therefore, we don't have to make preventative takanas on those issues. You can just go ahead and wash your hands. Shabbos, it's not the job. The job is the shamish has to be a shamish. A waiter is a waiter. You look for a good waiter. The guy who knows knows about food, not knows about halacha. Now here, for some reason, the halacha is kibei shamai here, and you have to sweep first because again the waiter might be an amoritz. Now he actually learns that halachas are the opposite. Beis Hillel is the one saying sweep first because amoritz, and the halachas like Beis Hillel. But either way, it comes out. You're allowed to do this. You don't have to be makar on this. This is one thing. Rabbi said we're going to do a little more because we're I think we're ready. Like we're a day behind here. We have Shabbos coming up. We're falling here. So we're going to push a little more here. Okay, now to the top. Okay, we'll finish it with Tumah V'Tayra. So if that was confusing to you, we're on a new topic. So we say now, B'Shami Oimrim. This is the order of Havdalah, right? So what's the order we do Havdalah in? We do Bari Meim B'Samim, and then Alet Bari Eish, right? So that's the Machlekes B'Shami Shilo. Sham actually says the other way, near Muslim. Now, so when Ravuna went to visit, he's the first time he saw this. He said again, this is what we do. But we saw that you make it in some way. In our Mishnah, they both said you make on the candle first. Right? Again, we don't do this. Lo pligi. Or lo pligi. The Tanya B'Shami, I'm near Muslim, some of Dollar. So near, you make on there first. Some of Dollar. You're right. That is the opinion of Meir that everyone makes in there, even Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. That's exactly what Beis Hillel disagrees. Again, this time we have to make Havdalah. There's only one meal. But the point is, we're telling you now, what do you make first? Samim and Yer. This is what we do. Rabbi Yechon nogu am kebeis Hillel aliba the Rabbi Yehuda. Vayta b'shami oimrim shabara. So if you notice in the Mishnah, there's two variations between Beis Hillel in the bracha of Eish. Bishami said bara mu'or. And as we say, Beis Hillel says Bare Mari'esh, as we say. So Omer Rava, but Baruch now, okay, let me just get what I'm done here is that the point of why we make a bracha on fire. What's a Shabbos? What is it? What's it to do with Shabbos? So what it do is that yeah, sure, you could use fire on Shabbos, that's part of it, but more than that was we are commemorating the creation of fire, which is discovered by Adam Arishan after Shabbos, and therefore after Shabbos we light fire, we make a bracha, thank Hashem for the fire. So So we're mevarech on that Hashem created the fire. So Beis Shammai says, well, that makes sense, says Beis Shammai, that the correct way to say the bracha is bara. Shabara, he created, past tense. So the word bara clearly implies past tense. That's clear. Kipligi boire. Why does Beis Hillel say boire ma'ore ha'esh? Right? Beis Shammai savri boire da'asid lemivra. Now Beis Shammai says you can't say that. We're commemorating. We're thanking Hashem on the creation. You know, it's 6,000 years ago of the fire. Beis Hillel, so they say past tense. Beis Hillel says no. It's true, but the word boire, which Pashup Shah in Diktuk means he creates, it's present tense. Nami de Baramashma, that exclude. He's because Akash Baruch is B'chadish B'tuva B'chol Yod. Hashem creates constantly, every day, every second. Hashem is creating again and again. That's what as many of the Reformers explain of Shachaim. So we say Hashem creates. We take Hashem that He creates, but He creates also that goes back in time to the original creation because He creates. So therefore it's also Mashra past tense. So therefore Beis Hillel chooses that, that's why. Now Mosav Yosef, now we'll prove that. Yoitzer or Ubarech Choshech, Yoitzer now. So really it's a kasha Beis Hillel. Here it says Barech Choshech. So it's no, sorry, this is a kasha on Beis Shammai. You see, he created in Lashon Boire. That's referring to the original creation. That's past tense. It was the reference is to historically, not to now, right? So what does Beis Shammai say? So even Boire, Beis Shammai, Mashal doesn't mean that really the word means present tense, but the implication is also past, so that everyone agrees to that. And that's what Beis Hillel is saying when he says, complete. That really, that's not the machlekes. No, Beis Hillel doesn't have a problem. Beis Shammai doesn't have a problem with that part of Beis Hillel. That's not the nekuda. It's the other set word that they argue in. Kipligi ma'ore. Kipligi ma'or. Ma'ore. Beis Shammai savri chada nahayra ika. Why does Beis Hillel say ma'or? The fire, singular. And Beis Hillel says ma'ore, as we say. So it's because there's a different perception of what fire is. Beis Shammai perceives fire is as one entity. Beis Hillel savri tuva nahayra ika menura. And Beis Hillel says that there's many fires in the fire. If you right, and we'll see what that means in the second time. Okay, Amud Beis Hillel Beis Shammai harbe me'oiris yesh ba'or. He says to him, yeah. There's lots of little fires inside the fires. Rashi explains that means that if you look at the fire, you'll see there's even different colors in the fire. That's different koiches of fire are within every fire. There's lots of different fires, and therefore it's called Mo'irei Ha'esh. Okay, stop.